Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Sarah Shazad, and welcome to CxO TV, where innovation meets ideas for growth via our knowledge sharing platform, CxO Global Forum. Joining us today, Mr. Mohammad Ehsan Khan, who is founder and CEO of Trade Foresight. His career spans over 20 years. Mr. Ehsan holds PhD in strategy, program, and project management. Very good evening, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Saira. Thank you so much for inviting me for this session. It's an honor to be part of this.
It's our pleasure, sir. Mr. Ehsan, how do you define your journey of 20 years now?
Uh, I graduated from FAST Karachi. Computer science was my core subject over there. Uh,
Okay.
Initially, my most of my interest was towards management sciences when it comes to projects and technical projects. So from the very beginning, I was into consulting more than core software development, even though I did it for like 3 4 years. So
Okay.
even now, when there are certain implementations happening, I can have a good conversation with my technical team. So that's something that helps me still. Uh, After doing my initial development work, in the eighth month, I started my own company because my family background is in entrepreneurship. So we are a family that's into business from the very beginning. So in the 8 9 months, I
Great.
started my own company named eService and Technologies, which stayed in the market for almost 3 3.5 4 years. We were eventually partially acquired by a US based company. So it's like in the year 2003 2002 that acquisition happened. As I worked with them for a couple of years as their solution architect, and then I moved to UAE as a consultant as an outsourced consultant for Microsoft. Worked here for a year or so. Came
Okay.
back to Pakistan, but then I was hired by another tech firm. So my whole career has been with startups. So another
Okay.
startup that was starting off in UAE, I started working with them as a projects director. Worked with them for 4 years, 5 years approximately, and then I came back to Pakistan as a COO of THK Solutions. It was a tech firm, part of the Tasir Hadi group. Then
All right.
so it's been on both sides. Moved back to UAE again. Worked with
So
the
you
UAE
are
armed.
based in UAE right now.
I'm mostly based. So it's very difficult to answer this question because it's more about traveling due to COVID.
Yeah, of course.
The
Having
restriction
such
has.
big responsibility of
Yes,
your presence in many places. So, of course,
true,
you must be traveling all the time.
true, very true. Uh, 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 it was a lot of traveling in the last 8 years or so, but the last year has been a little quiet. I took a flight 3 days before from Pakistan to UAE.
Okay.
Once the COVID restrictions have settled down, so right now I'm in UAE. Uh, in Siab, the parent company of Trade Foresight started off almost 9 years back, and it was started off between myself and two Emiratis, locals of UAE. We started off with a data company, and 3 years back we launched Trade Foresight, one of our data-driven platform for global trade, basically import and export,
Okay.
exporters. Plus, it provides data for governments and other agencies for their decision making. So it has been a good journey. My education has been in technology, but I've been an entrepreneur for all my life. So this is my fourth company. We have other companies that we have launched recently. So Alhamdulillah, things are going well.
Wow. Very great, sir. I'm glad to know such success stories. When you come across, you get so excited and you're so motivated that let's just do whatever you have in mind. Just do it. So, please tell us about how has the doctorate degree contributed to your practical work?
There are three aspects of it. One practical aspect is that people listen to you more because they know that you
Yeah.
have that academic background in the field that you're talking about. That has helped me on multiple occasions in a lot of our consulting assignments. Other than that, it has also helped us in terms, because when you're doing a PhD, there is a lot of research work involved.
Exactly.
You are
Absolutely
reading a lot of
true.
papers. You're speaking in multiple conferences. You are, so it's not about the degree itself. It's more about the experience that you gain throughout that journey, and that experience has helped me a lot. We Using that experience, we were able to apply those practices in our companies.
Okay.
Especially when you're delivering software-based projects, it's quite a challenging thing, because software projects are considered as soft scope projects because the scope is unclear. And the experience that you gain while having those academic conversations with people actually help a lot in your practical life as well. So that's another aspect of it that has helped in our
Must be.
organization in general.
Exactly. Must be.
And What I tell people is that a lot of new students, they jump into their MBAs and masters and PhD degrees right after their graduation, and I generally tell them that give yourself at least 3, 4, 5 years to know what you really want to do, and then specialize in that specific
Exactly.
area. So after my
Exactly.
graduation, it took me almost 4, 5 years when I realized that not really a core tech guy. My expertise are more into management of technical teams and entrepreneurship. So it's better for me to pick up that journey. So before PhD, I did my PMP almost, I don't know, 17 years back, 16 years back, when PMP was relatively new. I
Okay.
was the second PGMP, the Program Management Professional of Pakistan. So that's also something that helped me towards my PhD.
Okay.
And so That's the journey of PhD. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you were the youngest author of a research paper in 2013. So how did this add value to your work in business?
I'll clarify one aspect of it. In 2012, I received the young. So there are two main organizations globally for project
Okay.
management: PMI, which is Project Management Institute, and IPMA, which is International Project Management Association. IPMA is more European based, whereas PMI is more US based. When I initially completed my first research paper, and it was a time when I did not complete my PhD, that research paper was awarded as a James Snyder Paper of the Year by PMI. So first of all, I got an award from PMI on my research, and the research focus was project governance, and governance is my core field.
Okay.
So once the overall PhD was completed, then I applied for an award at IPMA. It was actually my mentor, Ms. Ginger Levin. She passed away a couple of years back, but she was the one who was the true inspiration and the push
Okay.
behind all of this. So asked me to apply for that paper,
There
and
has
being
to be one person.
yes, I mean I
Exactly.
mean we can we can create this thing that okay, these people will never help you. But my personal experience has been that if you have the right kind of skill, the right kind of capability, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala somehow helps you from here or there. So
Exactly.
she was the one
Exactly.
who actually inspired me to apply for that award as well, PMI as well as IPMA. And both of the time I
Right.
was thinking, okay, I'm a Pakistani. Maybe it will be very difficult to get that award. And Alhamdulillah, I was the first Pakistani Muslim who got the award from IPMA as well, Young Researcher of the Year. So both of those awards help me in terms of number one, realizing that anything is possible if you put in the right kind of effort.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
you will
You
always
need to
get.
know what you're doing and what you want. Eventually, what do you want?
You really need to focus on certain things, and you need to push forward. I mean we can come up with complaints, we can come up with situations. I can tell, okay, being a
Situations are
Pakistani,
there. And of course, you have to meet different situations
and
in every step of
everybody
life.
everybody has problems, everybody has certain limitations. You have to
Exactly.
understand what your limitations are.
Agreed.
You have to push hard. And then winning these awards really gave me this confidence that if you are focused on something, if you really try to work hard towards that goal, things do happen. And
I'm
it's happened
true.
with me, alhamdulillah. So those awards, other than the award value of that, it helped me realize that things, if you really try to push forward, you can achieve those goals. And it has helped me in developing these tech companies as well. I mean, because when you're
Exactly.
starting off a company, it's like zero. You don't have any employees. It's just yourself.
Because you knew that you're going in the right direction.
Yes, yes, yes. And then you keep on pushing forward for that. You keep on putting in the right kind of resources in place,
Exactly. As a
and things happen. Things do happen. Yeah, yeah.
very right. So, what's the future of big data in Pakistan? As you know, that we are evolving with technology like day by day. So, what's the future of it?
I think there is a little bit misconceptions around big data. Number one is that a lot of organizations are moving toward or want to move towards big data, uh, but I personally assume that they are not ready for it really. So the requirement
Okay.
that they have is more of creating a typical data warehouse where they can consolidate data and then create those dashboards and reports.
True.
Because everybody else is talking about big data, they want to do big data. You really have to identify the cases of big data.
Exactly. Very
Uh,
right. Very right.
so if you have a lot of systems, consider a typical bank who has like 200 typical applications running. For them, they should create a case around why they want to implement big data. And sometimes when you're doing implementation of big data, maybe there is one specific area where you need to deploy tools for that specific use case. Whereas for all the other cases, it can still be a typical data warehouse where you're consolidating your data. And when we talk about big data, we talk about data lake and then bringing in social media data, etc.
Yeah.
etc. When you have those cases, yes, of course, you need to deploy those big data tools and technologies and resources. Whereas in other cases, it's a typical data warehouse would really solve your business case. I think there is potential. There is huge potential in that area. The reason is that the 90s era was mostly about deploying ERPs and CRMs, etc.
Yes.
A lot
True.
of large organizations already have them now. They, of course, they keep on enhancing that, but now they have a lot of data available with them. And now is the case for doing implementations of big data. Once again, depending upon a certain use case. Consider a bank. Their focus a lot on, let's say, their sales aspect or their branch management aspect. In that case, they need to focus on what do they want to push in, what kind of data should be
Yes.
there, and then build cases around those, and then deploy
What
big
are the
data.
gray areas? What are their pain
Of course.
areas?
Yes, yes. And
Do you
then
think that actually,
I'll
please?
give you an example of one implementation that we are doing in Malaysia, where they have a business case for big data
Okay.
and machine learning. Basically, they are bringing in data for it's the taxation department, and they are creating use cases around identifying individuals and corporations, whether they will default on tax or not based on the previously identified data trend for the last 30 years. So if you have cases like this, yes, you can deploy. Otherwise, a typical data warehouse will still solve your problems. Sometimes just a dashboard will solve your problem. So you have to identify where you want to really deploy a big data case. Yeah.
So, do you think that Pakistan market and this uh, the businesses coming over, or the investments, or the investors who are coming up with new business in the market, are
Mhm.
they actually currently they are going for big data, or uh, they're not? Because normally people, they say that we don't need this, and this is something we are not too much focused on. We'll just do the simple we'll just adopt the simple technology things. So what is the current situation?
The conversation that I'm having with a lot of banks in Pakistan right now, they want to move towards big data. They really want to move towards big data. So the inspiration is there. Uh, our challenge, one of the challenge that I personally feel is the lack of resources and the lack of capabilities that needs to be developed in that specific area. Uh, so if you deploy, let's say, do a Cloudera based implementation or a Hadoop based typical implementation, just using open source tools, where are you going to get those resources? So building that resource pool will really help you in terms of. So once you have deployed a certain tool, you need support, you need resources who should be carrying on those implementation forward.
True.
and the skill set is an area which is missing. I mean, we are doing one implementation, a consulting assignment in Pakistan, which is kicking off in the next week, I think, and we had to bring in consultant from Malaysia for that specific area. It was
Okay.
difficult for us to find a resource in a short term. Of course, there would be resources in Pakistan, but finding those resources was a key challenge for us. So I
Key
assume
challenge.
the assumption that we have right now is the number of resources in that domain are lesser than what the market is there. So yes, there are organizations vision who have this vision of going towards big data implementations, but the key challenge for them would be the right kind of skill set, and they are willing
Exactly.
to pay high numbers, but the skill set is not there really. I mean, this is
So, do
what
you
our
think that a lot of youth would and should pursue being data scientists?
of course. I think the
That's our
future
future.
is. There are, I mean, I personally assume there are three key areas where resources should be really looking to. I mean, on all the other areas, you do have people available. One is blockchain. It is the
Yeah,
future. The other one is data sciences, and within even so in Siab, the company that we work with, it's in the ninth year of its running. We are a very focused data company. We did not do anything else. The reason was that data field itself has so many aspects to it. So when you say data science, should you move towards it? Yes. But then within data science, there are so many areas where they can build their expertise, their skill sets, starting from a typical data warehouse implementation, going towards creating dashboards and reports for the end user, towards data, towards machine learning, towards artificial intelligence. So there are so many angles to that area that
yeah,
people who can come in, they need to identify where they want to go towards. And I think yes, data science is the future, mostly because that data consolidation work is required now. Organizations have
yeah.
a lot of software
You're right.
implementations. It's there. Now you need to bring in, and the key aspect of data is to make sure that you can use that data for your decision making. Otherwise, data is just sitting there and not adding value to it.
So, as you have already spoken about it, are traders' decision solely made on data, or there are other variables also?
See, I'm taking. I think we're talking about trade foresight right now. When we talk about
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
enabling data-driven trading decisions. Uh, when you talk about data, there are the quantitative part of it, and then there's the qualitative. For me, everything is data. So when you say there are other
Of
variables,
course,
for me,
yeah.
it's also a data set for me.
True.
Uh, so whether it's quantitative data, which gives you numbers, okay, Pakistan exported this specific product this much to this particular country, or Pakistan imported this amount of product X from this particular country, that's the quant based measures. There are so many qualitative measures, such as sanctions, such as liberalization policies that are coming through. All of these are data sets. So when a trader has to take a decision, he should consider all of this in one place. And that's the reason why we came up with Trade Foresight. What we have
Okay.
done over there, we have consolidated data from more than 20 plus different data sources, whether they're qualitative or quantitative, and brought them in one place. So when a trader takes a decision, he or she knows that okay, this particular market has opened up for me based on
Exactly.
the new liberalization policy from that particular market, which has allowed Pakistan to export to that market. However, the market is very small for me. So if I combine these 2 points, then I would say, okay, the market is too small. Even though it has opened up, I'll still not export. So you have to consider all of these angles when it comes to trading decision. On the other hand of it, the market might be very huge for you, but they're not open for you. There are sanctions imposed on Pakistan to export that particular product to that market. So still you cannot export. Or we can talk about it and say, okay, this looks like a very lucrative market. The market is huge. New policies are there, and now I can export. Even though these three markets have closed up for me, but these three new market have opened up. So
Open.
uh,
Yeah.
for me, everything is data when it comes to decision
Everything
making.
is data. True that. So, based on your profile, so what motivated you to do pro bono work since you do a lot of it?
Uh, I'll talk about the PhD, the academic aspect of it first. I'm working as a PhD
Yeah, that's
supervisor.
one.
Yeah, I'm working as a PhD supervisor for the university where I did my PhD from. Schema Business School, which is in France. And the
Okay.
basic motivation behind it was that you have learned a lot when you're doing your PhD, and it it always helps you yourself as an individual to convey the knowledge to others. And then when you're conveying that knowledge, you're learning yourself as well, because there are so many questions that
Exactly.
are being asked when you're doing this research work, that you yourself learn from it. So it's a learning curve for me when it comes to academic research. Uh, on an individual basis, we do a lot of work. So when it comes to traders, we do a lot of trainings for Pakistani traders specifically, because we are based in Pakistan mostly, to help them in terms of utilizing data as a core tool when it comes to decision making. So that's also very helpful for them. Other than that, mostly when you do certain good things, it gives you satisfaction as an individual. So
Yeah, true.
I personally believe that this aspect of it, the satisfaction that you get, the happiness that you get from doing work for others, it has its own value, and it cannot be quantified in numbers. It just helps you. So
It's a satisfaction. Yeah,
my personal spiritual belief around it is that if you do good for others, good things will happen to you.
exactly, exactly. Very right, Mr. Ehsan. So, do you provide any specific services for small businesses also?
Uh, if I focus on trade foresight, we are providing them the tools. What we are doing now is making almost 70% of the tool free of cost to them, just to help them in terms of
Okay,
understanding that the aspect of how to use tools and technologies for digital trade. Uh, we do consulting works for small and medium enterprises. We do within our tool of Trade Foresight, we have different options available where the traders can come in and request for understanding a certain market. So if they say, okay, I want to export this particular product to this specific market, and they have zero knowledge about trade, global trade, they can
yeah,
use our tool. They can work with our consultants in terms of market identification, in terms of knowing what to export where. So these are different ways where we are helping SMEs.
okay. So, how much time is required at your end to provide your customer a statistical extrapolation?
Uh, if they use
Like,
the
do you
tool,
have a specific
yeah.
time, or it takes 5, 6 months, or you
No, no,
have?
no, no, no. With Trade Foresight, no, of course not. So there are two parts that we are selling when it comes to Trade Foresight. Number one is our the portal, the platform, the mobile application, where SMEs can use the tool for their decision making, and it's
They can utilize.
they can just
Okay,
subscribe, they can start using it right away. So there is
true.
zero implementation time. The other part of it is we are now selling our data connectors, and this is very much
Okay,
focused towards corporations, where if they want to use trade related data, they don't need to go to 10 different sources to get the trade data. They just come
okay,
to us, and then we provide them with the entire data set through an API, through other options, where they can connect with us and they can get trade data from us right away. So once
so
again,
it's
there
a
is no.
one window solution
Yes,
for
for
them.
trade, yeah. For so they don't have to run around here and there, and what we
Yeah,
provide them are predefined, pre-built KPIs that were developed using expertise of trade consultants. So we have almost like 60 plus KPIs available. Different
okay,
options are available: 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, all KPIs. So you just connect to our API, and it's a very cheap solution for them. So if corporations might pay $20,000 to for you for the entire year to get the
yeah,
entire data set.
of
And
course,
for
yes,
banks or large
agreed.
corporations, this amount is absolutely nothing. The third thing that we do is we do large scale implementations for countries. So Alhamdulillah, we were able to deploy Trade Foresight's initial version with the Saudi government, and that's a long
Okay,
process. I mean, for them, because when you're doing a deployment for a particular country, in that case, you do a lot of work of integration, data integrations locally. So that's a 6 to 8 months implementation. So
absolutely.
depending upon different use cases, we have different options available.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mr. Ehsan, what utility you see being a member of CXO Global Forum?
Number one is connections. and it really helps you connect with the
Yes,
entire business community of Pakistan. There are a lot of tech people there, but there are also non-tech people on the CxO global.
exactly.
So number one is connecting with like-minded people, business people. You learn a lot. You learn a lot from them. Opportunities, because then you can, if there are certain things that you want from them or you want to offer them, you can do that through a single platform.
Exactly.
Number three is the meetups that happen. So there you can really enjoy the conversation with like-minded people.
And
Other
I
than
must
that,
also say that I would like to mention that those who are not no, tech people, they can always learn
of
how
course,
to go for betterment.
of course,
It's
of
an
course.
awareness platform. It's
I mean, there are people
identifying
who
the
there,
issues.
there are people who come in who you have conversation with who might be younger than you, but they can act as your mentor. You learn a lot from them directly. So it's a
Exactly.
continuous learning curve, and there are people who are involved in those sessions. They really help you understand business community. I mean, when I came back to Pakistan, my biggest challenge was re-establishing the connections with the local business market, and CxO Global really helped me in
Okay.
that. So your newsletters are very helpful. And Sarah, the point is that it's a new initiative. It's like a 1.5, 2 years old initiative, but it has
Exactly.
grown significantly. I mean, in the last year or so, it has grown significantly, and it has helped me as a person, and it has helped our organization as a corporation to re-enter the market. So that has it's a good job done by Kaval, yourself, and the entire CXO Global team.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ehsan. Your valuable time for us. Thanks for coming to our show and hope to see you again.
Thank you,
Inshallah
Sarah,
soon.
for inviting me. Inshallah,
Thank you very
inshallah,
much.
and good luck for your future sessions and all that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.